So, as we're working on the pathway to inner peace, one of the things that you're going to learn is to accept the things you cannot change. Sometimes our lives get out of control, and there's just so many things going on that we cannot change. Unfortunately, a lot of people are focusing so much time, effort, and energy on trying to change things that they have no control over and ignoring the things that they can. I've been doing a review of the serenity prayer, and the first part of the serenity prayer says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And through acceptance, we're able to redefine what it is that we can and cannot change. Today, we're going to talk about some of the things that we cannot change in our lives. Let's dive in and get started. So, one of the first things that we have to realize is that there's all these things going on in the world around us, especially those of you that have been around right now. It's 2021 and we've had this pandemic going on for over a year. We have all these other things. We have all this political unrest in our country. And I see a lot of people that are putting a lot of time, effort, energy, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, into these things outside of themselves. Sometimes our lives get out of control, and there's just so many things going on that we cannot change. Unfortunately, a lot of people are focusing so much time, effort, and energy on trying to change things that they have no control over and ignoring the things that they can. And one of the big things that we learned through the serenity prayer is the accepting the things we cannot change. And how do we find this acceptance? How do we focus on the things we cannot change? In 2013 was a really difficult year for me and my wife. In fact, in January of 2013, she was my fiance at the time. She was pregnant. We went to find out if we were having a boy or a girl. And we found out we were having a girl, but we also found out that her brain did not fully form. This led us into a lot of chaos. We were at the very end of the first trimester. We had a matter of days to decide whether we were going to go through with the pregnancy or not. Because of this, we went through all this emotional turmoil. And we saw this situation as being very dire. Everybody was giving us this very dire outlook. In fact, everybody we told us that there was no way she would survive birth, and that if she happened to miraculously survive birth, she would never leave the hospital. So because of this, we had to decide if we were going to go through with the pregnancy, and we had a very short amount of time to do it. So I went home. My wife went to lay down and take a nap. She was exhausted. And I went out and sat in meditation. And I understood, for the first time in my life, I started to understand this principle called surrender. And so surrender is the letting go of your attachment and your expectations of the way the world should be. When you can surrender and let go of your emotional attachment to things, and you can surrender and let go of your expectations of how things should be, you're going to find that life becomes a lot easier to be peaceful and content with whatever comes your way. I also kind of had to take a leap of faith. I came to realize through this experience also that faith is not expecting God to work things out in your favor or give you what you expect to happen. But faith, real faith, comes from knowing that everything happens for the greater good, whether it goes the way you want it to or not. So much of our experience is subjective, and it's based on our expectations and the meaning that we're giving to the experiences we face. When I went through this process of surrendering and letting go of my attachment to the outcome of what would happen with my daughter, I had such an overwhelming sense of peace that I knew no matter what happened, it was going to be okay. I knew that everything was happening for the greater good, and that none of it was bad, no matter what it was. I knew she was going to have a difficult life, and that there would be some struggles, there would be some triumphs, there would be some ups and downs, but I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that I had to let go of my need to control what would happen in her life. I had to let go of all the expectations of what I had of what it would be like to be a parent. The reason why I share this story is because this is why I've been able to handle the changes and the situations that we go through. developing new skills rapidly without having any medical background, becoming very intensely aware of the situations that she's going through, being sensitive to changes in her body and changes in things that are going on with her because she's nonverbal. She's unable to speak and tell us what's going on, so we have to kind of read the clues. And we couldn't do that if we were attached to the negative emotions that go along with that. And we were attached to all these expectations of what a child should be like or what having a child should be like. When we surrendered that, then I was able to find a sense of peace and calm within myself that allowed me to accept everything that's happened to her since then. And we've had a lot of hospital stays, we've had some crises here and there, but she's about to turn 8 years old, and we were told 8 years ago that she would never leave the hospital. So when you learn to surrender, you can find a sense of peace and harmony. Let go and allow the things outside of your control to happen as they are. And when you start noticing that things going on outside of yourself are making you uncomfortable, are bringing you disharmony, are bringing you into negative emotions, surrender the emotional attachment to those things and start looking at them from a different perspective. When you do this, you can find acceptance for the things you cannot change and really focus on the things you can change, which is everything going on inside of yourself. We're going to talk about how to start taking control of the things you can change once we start working on the inner world. In fact, we just did a video the other day where we went through the inner world. You can see that video right here, where you're going to start understanding the 4 aspects of our internal world and how you can start taking control of each one of those aspects of yourself.